Welcome to another episode of All in Martin, the Martin County School District's monthly podcast. I'm your host, Kirsty Germain, and for this episode, we are going all in about middle school. I know the transition from 5th grade to 6th grade can be a little scary. It's a big difference, but we have some moms here that have gone through that process, and they can tell you their firsthand experience of why our middle schools are a great choice for your child. So without further ado, I'll have our guests introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Megan Campbell. I have a 6th grader at Stuart Middle School.
Hi, my name is Allison Walker. I currently have a 7th grader at Hidden Oaks, and I have a 5th grader at Palm City Elementary who will be attending Hidden Oaks in the fall.
My name is Nikki Hackett, and I have an 8th grader at Murray Middle School.
So the first thing I want you ladies to start talking about, and you can choose whoever wants to go first in what order, it doesn't matter, but give us a snapshot of your experience as a parent of a middle school child.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Our transition went really well. Sophia is very active in a lot of clubs at school. She likes to be a leader within herself. Sophia has an IEP, so for her personally, it's important for her to get herself out there and kind of be involved, and I think she gets that from our involvement as parents. We've had a wonderful time at Stuart Middle School. I think there's a lot of growth and opportunity there for students to be strong, independent advocates. So I liked it.
Yeah, same for my middle schooler. He's done fantastic. He really enjoys it. What he loves most is having some, the freedom to walk to his own classes or gets to and from school by himself. So it's a learning experience for sure, but growth, which is what they all need at this age. So.
That's funny. That was the same word I was going to use. So the amount of growth from 6th grade to 8th grade that we've seen in our daughter has been tremendous, both academically and socially. She has rigorous classes, but she handles it really well. She's in several clubs, and there are so many to choose from. And I do think that helps them all feel empowered in their own interests. And could not say enough positive things about our experience so far.
So I think one of the biggest hurdles for a family transitioning from 5th grade to 6th grade is just the fact that it is so different. You go from one class to 7. You go from one teacher that you know so well to 7 that you have to take a little bit longer to get to know. So how is that transition for you and for your child?
Well, I think the middle schools do a good job at transitioning the kids towards the end of the school year. They have a day where just the students can go back to school, and they can go from classroom to classroom and have that experience without their parents tagging along. So they get to experience being independent and growing. So I think they do a really good job at that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know that this year, Hidden Oaks has invited all of the Palm City Elementary 5th graders to attend during the school day, and they'll get to see firsthand what that's like before they get to middle school. So they'll have a firsthand account before that day where just the new 6th graders go.
Right.
But my oldest transition, we didn't have any issues with the 7 classes. If anything, I think he liked it. Mm-hmm. Moving around, you get tired of one subject, you only have 50 minutes, and then you're on to the next one with another teacher, with a new group of students. Also keeping in mind that 3 of those classes are electives that the students have chosen. So I know it was a very exciting day when the principal went to the elementary school to talk about the electives, and they got their forms, and my daughter got to come home, and we talked about it, and she filled her form and turned it in. And she's excited to see what her electives are. Sure. And how that shakes out for her. Mm-hmm.
And same. I think the really biggest fears in our home were the transitioning between classes, when you're not used to doing that, and you're 12, 13, and you have all this responsibility. But the day before the first day of school, when they do the run through, it eased all of her fears about that. And I think really, the transition was pretty seamless for us. It was, those initial fears were squashed pretty quickly, and she transitioned really well. So.
But I do know the first few days they have a little leeway. It's not like you have to be in class within those those minutes, yeah. And then within those minutes of the bell ringing, like you have a little leeway to find your way, to get to know the campus a little more. So, and I think I have heard too that while middle school does a really good job of acclimating the sixth graders to their new home, elementary schools have started to, like the fifth grade teacher has started to talk to them about that. Did you have that experience?
Well, I know at Palm City Elementary, the fifth grade, they have two teachers, so they are already switching between two teachers. They started that, so the fourth graders and fifth graders are experiencing switching between two teachers. So they're a little bit more prepared as far as that goes. And I do think that the fifth grade teachers are speaking to them about next year and some expectations to kind of help bridge that gap between fifth and sixth.
Yeah, I think the only other challenge or biggest concern my daughter had was the, receiving grades, which I don't think she was really, it wasn't even on her radar. But then, first quarter, that interim report comes around and it's like, wait a minute, what are these? Those are your grades. That's what you earned. And then she took, she's like that intrinsic reward person. So she really took a lot of initiative on her own, wanting to make sure that those grades were high. And that has really carried out throughout her entire middle school experience. So I think it's actually a benefit because in elementary school, I'm not sure they make those connections between their work and their grades necessarily because of the grading format. So it's been a really positive experience, and certainly in preparation for high school, I feel like she's very much ready now. Speaking
of academics, so talk about, I love what you were saying, like your daughter was so excited when she got to find out what electives, and electives are a big part, but I want to know, do you feel, and middle school parents, like your child is as supported as they were in elementary school with just that one teacher? Like, do you feel like you can still reach out to one of the 7 teachers and still get just as much support and assistance?
I think so. I know Stuart Middle School's really gone above and beyond to make sure that the parents still have those lines of communication while allowing the students to be advocates for themselves. So I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
With each subject, even if they have a struggle somewhere, the teachers still will send out, our school at least does, progress reports on how they're doing and ways either we can help support them or they can help support your students. So
I personally have never reached out to a teacher, only because I haven't needed to and for any reason. Also, bringing it back to the focus portal is very clear. If something's going on, I go straight to focus and I can see the assignment, and sometimes the teachers write notes. And then I can go have that conversation with my child about that assignment and see what happened. So I feel like the portal is our best friend in the middle school experience. I think every assignment is on there.
And we're allowed to address it as parents, like, hey, I see this missing, what's going on? And my daughter's like, it's fine. I turned it in.
Always fine.
It's always fine. They just haven't graded it yet.
Yes.
But
yeah, and then I think too, the couple of times that I have had to reach out to to teachers is usually if they are absent for a prolonged amount of time or something like that. But the response is always timely. I've never had an issue getting a hold of anybody from teachers, guidance counselors, administration. And that was one of my concerns as a parent. How is that line of communication going to look when we go to middle school and I don't know the teacher personally, or it's not just one teacher that you're dealing with? But it really has been very easy to navigate. So it's been great.
Martin County School District is obviously a smaller community. So when you transition from elementary to middle school, it's still a small community, and you might not know those teachers that well firsthand, but they're still going to have that extra support there. And all of our teachers are pretty awesome.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it works at other middle schools, but at Murray, a lot of the teachers teach cross-functionally grade-wise level. So like my daughter had the same teacher for American history and civics. She's had the same ELA teacher for all 3 years. I think that helps a lot because our expectations are, they're already established going in, and she knows what's expected of her. And so it's very helpful that way too.
Let's talk about academics. So are you happy with the classes that your students were able to choose? electives and even just like the general subjects?
They were allowed to select a few electives. Based on space, it determined whether or not they were going to get into some of those classes. And the ones my daughter chose, she loves. She's got straight A's right now, so I know. Yes, we did something right. But they are helping her grow, helping her thrive. And honestly, I'm happy she knows what she's doing because I don't know 6th grade math, apparently. I can't do it. But yeah, they're doing great.
I would have to agree. I mean, my son is happy with the classes. He was able to choose electives. They did some semester switching, so he got to do, 2 classes sometimes, depending on what there was. So he's had a nice variety. I've learned that he really likes PE. He's yet to have a full year of PE.
That is something all the kids really like.
And he was like, next year I'm going for the full year. I don't want to do a switch. So we're going to see what happens. But very happy. Academically, he's thriving. So no complaints. And I also feel like he's where he's supposed to be. I don't get involved too much. I let the school kind of place him the classes he's supposed to be placed in and just kind of trust, within reason. But I haven't had any issues. There's nothing I've wanted that he hasn't been able to get into, or he hasn't been, held back or pushed forward anything.
And they're challenged.
They are.
These kids are challenged, which is really good because at an elementary level, I didn't get a lot of homework. So Sophia now comes home and she's excited about getting her homework done like right after because she's got softball to follow. But they like the challenge.
My daughter's same. She's had, I think it's been a perfect amount of support. 6th grade, a lot of support from the teachers because they recognize that they're coming from elementary and need that. And it was, it's tough going through all those different, learning how to take notes and study for tests and all those things. 7th grade felt easy because I think they're used to that. And she had, she was on her way. She felt confident in what she was doing. And then 8th grade comes with its own rigorous challenges because she's in Algebra 1, which is an honors class, and it's a high school credit. And then one of her electives is actually a high school credit too, agriculture. Spanish they have as also a high school credit. And then they take like an end of curriculum test at the end of the year in all 4 of their subject areas. So she's held straight A's all year, but it's a rigorous curriculum. But again, algebra is her weakness, so her teacher has been amazing. She's offers for her to come in during, they have a program at Murray called Avid. Do you guys have?
We do.
And I think it's like a kind of career college prep, and they learn how to take notes. They learn how to like study skills and organization. And oftentimes she'll kind of pop over to her algebra teacher if she needs a little help on something extra, and she's always willing to do so. So, yeah.
Well, I think that, Martin, just a point that there's something kind of for every child's level where they are, whether they're high performing or need some interventions they will fill those needs.
They do.
So they do a good job of meeting a child where they are.
I know the support system's there. With Sophia, she has her IEP, and so on her ELA and math and science, she has that support there if needed. So
that's awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Martin County.
Agree.
Yay. What were some of your biggest fears of that transition going from elementary to middle school? And would you say that once your child started, those fears were pretty squashed?
Okay, I'll start. So Jensen has a little bubble that her kiddos stay in, and going across into Stuart, it was something new for them, something they had to kind of overcome and be a part of. It's not just one school. Now you've bled into a school with 3 different feeder schools. So that transition for me was, how is my child going to feel comfortable? Because now there's multiple students at the school, but she transitioned really well. There was not a hiccup. I think we've talked about that. As long as you have those lines of communication open with your child, things are going to happen at the school that are outside of our hands, outside of our child's hands, and they're going to be exposed to things, but that's part of the growing process. That's not something you should try to continue to shelter them from. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think the transition went really, really well. What about you, ladies?
I didn't have any fears necessarily going into middle school. Learning, I was learning along with my, student as to what was going to happen, but I don't think I had any fears, and everything really did go well.
Yeah, and then as far as like substantial fears, I personally did not have a same, but I think a lot of that has to do with like discussions you're having at home and the confidence you're instilling in your child, and having that faith in them. I think that goes a long way with them at that age. It's just something developmental where they're transitioning into more of an independent role, and I think kind of giving them that courage and knowing that we have their back and that we have faith in them. I think that I think it really does. I think it just empowers them to make the right choices and surround themselves in positive experiences. We just told our daughter, you just continue to be kind and stay away from any kind of drama or trouble, and you'll be fine. And here we are 3 years later, and she really has adhered to that, and it has provided an amazing experience for her. So.
And to add to that, there has been that stigma some parents have around middle school, that there's fighting and, a different walk of life. But as Nikki was saying, as long as you instill your values in your child and give them encouragement and talk to them, I think that fear is washed away immediately because you have that faith in your child. So.
Yeah.
And
like
I
you
think
said, the communication part. No, you're good.
the bullying thing is a big one, right? The big buzzword that comes with middle school. A lot of parents, from what I understand and hear, it is a big concern, but I hear it everywhere. I don't think you're going to escape that, whether or not you choose public school or not. I think that's just the age, and you can only control yourself or your child and how they handle that. And so to me, I'd say to put your focus and your efforts there, and they will be fine.
Right. The school can only do what the school can do. So I know Hidden Oaks does a good job of enforcing consequences, and there's like a zero tolerance about it. So I feel good about it. I mean, certainly things can happen, but it can happen anywhere. Yeah. And if parents are doing it right.
And have those communications, those conversations with your child. If they're worried about something, you want to know about it and find your way to support them.
And I also believe the schools are pretty reactive if a parent does bring up a complaint or say anything or have concerns, that the schools are pretty reactive to that and will respond, appropriately.
Yeah. I think that's the good part about the open communication between the parents and the student, but also the school and the parents and the teachers and the parents and the students.
Just again, back to it being the age where friendships from elementary school change.
They're evolving.
You introduce new people to the mix. And so within that comes a certain level of drama, of friendships evolving and changing, but that's the middle school experience, I don't think you can escape it.
No.
And I think it's better to maybe get all of that out before high school. That's how I feel. And when we chose, public school for our daughter, it was very much what that was part of our decision making was, I'd rather you do that now and with the people that you have been with since elementary school, and then work through that together and hit high school and off and running. And they all have. I was beyond impressed with the way we really at Murray feed just from Hope Sound and Seawind, a tiny bit of Port Salerno, but the way these kids meshed together, it was actually very beautiful, very touching as a mom to see the friendships formed, and there weren't as many cliques and things that I remember from middle school. So I'm just so proud of all of them.
Yeah. And I think nowadays, even though there is that social media aspect that wasn't there when we were kids.
I'm glad you brought that.
Yeah. The kids still are finding ways to navigate through that and how to address issues as they come along. And I'm proud of them. I think I'm proud of them because I think in movies it gets stereotyped how middle school is this big bad wolf, and truly I haven't seen it, at least at our school.
Yeah.
When I overhear my daughter and her friends talking about things that happen at school, I am, as an adult, always continually impressed with how they handle things and how they speak to things, speak with one another, speak about just with this maturity level. So it's like as much as the social media and internet has, tons of negative effects that I wish weren't there, it also provides this like wealth of information, and they're just so aware of ways to handle mental health things and being kind and the importance of that. And it's like I said, they're just flourishing. I really am just been so impressed.
Yeah.
I feel like your kids are growing up and they have a better notion of how social media should be handled, and they're having more fun with it than I think what we used it for.
They're having more fun, and the school is making it aware of what it is and the right ways to utilize it. So that really helps too, the process of what they're allowing in the schools and what they're not allowing in the schools. So
Yes, which social media is not really allowed in the school.
Yeah.
We do have the no phone policy.
Yes.
Which is
So-
great.
I like that.
I do too.
I do too.
I think that's helped a lot.
I can still track her on Life 360. So she's not going anywhere.
Yeah, the phone's not, it's put away. It's still
Yeah.
there. It's still active. Like you can,
Exactly.
yeah, you can still track, but they just,
It
aren't
allows them
gonna
to
be hanging
focus.
out. Yes.
On each other at lunch, or times where kids would probably try
Have their face
maybe
buried.
sneak, or where now you're forced to interact, and that's it's so important for their development. So
Yes.
it's a great policy.
What's something you would tell a parent nervous about their child attending a traditional public middle school?
I would take the opportunity to go and view the school.
Yeah.
See what the school is offering. I know there's school of choice here, so different schools offer different things that might cater to your child. But go to your first neighboring school, see what they have, meet the staff, meet the admin. Don't make it a worrisome thing. Make it a new challenge, a new thing opportunity you guys can have together, and ways you can be a part of it. So that would be my suggestion.
I agree with that. I know Hidden Oaks was doing parent tours where just the parents would go for a couple of hours during a school day and actually walk into classrooms, see the halls during the transition periods, and see. And I know that I've gotten a lot of feedback from the elementary parents that it's going very well, ease their fears just being on campus. So if your middle school has an upcoming orientation or preview day or whatever, go and see them, meet the principals, meet the administrators and the teachers, and kind of get a feel for what's to come, because it really is nice. And again, we're all experiencing that growing. Your children are, as a parent, you're going to be growing and kind of switching into a different parenting role where your students are now going to have to advocate for themselves a little bit more and take a little bit more responsibility. It's time for, the parents, in my opinion, don't necessarily want to take their hand off too much, but it's almost a little bit time to let the students kind of take the lead a little bit.
Absolutely, like a scaffolding, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's detrimental. If you're trying to hold on to that too tightly, it can, blow up later. So, my advice truly would be to make your own opinions, and like these ladies said, visit the schools, talk to people who have children there or have attended there. I think, particularly Marie, we have a lot of opinions about our school, and I have come to learn that most of those opinions are held by people who never had students there. And so whether it's hearsay, whether it's their own preconceived notions, I'm not sure. But I tell people all the time, just in anything in life, but make your own opinion based on your own knowledge, and go out there and find out for yourself. And it's not the end of the world if, God forbid, something happened. You can always, make a change later if that's your biggest fear. But to just start out immediately pulling your kids from the traditional public school system and making that change without giving it a chance, I really think you're doing yourself a disservice, because I think that these kids are going to be the ones who are best prepared for high school.
I think you said you went to Murray Middle School.
I did, yes. I went to Murray. Actually was born in Ohio, but I went to Murray as a sixth grader and came from a Catholic school in Cincinnati with about 40 kids in my whole grade, and entered Murray Middle in 1989, showing my age, but culture shock to say the least, but the best growing experience I could have ever had in my life. Met amazing friends who I'm still friends with to this day, and fabulous teachers, and such fond memories, and went to Southfork, and again, just nothing but positive experiences. So yes, I have a big heart for Martin County.
Awesome. So I know all three of you ladies are very involved in your school's PTA. Talk about what that looks like and why is it important for a parent to be involved in not necessarily just PTA, but their child's education in the school community?
Making the connections, I feel like, whether it's PTA or if PTA is not your thing, the School Advisory Council, SAC, SAC, is another great opportunity to be a part of decision making and just being aware of what's happening on campus. It's just an opportunity to bridge the gap. Depending on your child. My daughter is a wealth of information when she comes home from school. My son in 4th grade, nothing. I get nothing. So if I wasn't involved in PTA, I probably would have no idea what's happening at school because he's just a boy that doesn't like to talk at dinner. So I just think bridging the gap is a big key.
I was going to say SAC is, especially once you get to middle school, I find to be an imperative part, just because that's really where you get the one-on-one with the principal. You hear directly from the source of what's going on, how the students are doing and performing, and it's a really good, it's a wealth of information that's not readily tapped into, especially at HitNotes. We could use some more parents on our SAC.
Yes.
So
SAC really is where the decision making comes from. So getting plugged into that is important, and also into the PTSAs. The PTAs allow you an opportunity to really walk alongside of admin and help them help your child and the whole community. So I think.
What do I think? I say the PTA works with our administration to enhance educational experiences, and we support our teachers and our administrators to give our children the best educational experience that they can have, create lasting memories. And so as a PTA member, we get to make that happen.
And be a part of those.
And be a part of it. And be a part of it. And, it's kind of like a gift we're giving the whole school, and everyone, benefits. The PTAs are pretty open to anyone who really wants to be involved. We can find a spot pretty much anywhere. There's lots to do.
And the students like it. They love seeing those familiar faces when they come on campus, whether it's helping out at the lunch, holding events, selling something, being a part of their dances and their events. The students really thrive on seeing that parent connection. So.
And I know, as far as I haven't been to a specific PTA event, but I see a lot of it on social media. Oh, I actually have.
You did.
I played at the golf tournament. That was my first one. And that was so fun.
Good.
But I think when you're on the school campus, I love seeing that the PTA really celebrates the teachers and staff and students. So it's, like you said, it's enhancing the education, but it's also giving them that little perk and of yes, we're here to learn, and we love this school, we love this school family, and they feel that from the parents. So I think that's one of my favorite parts.
It's creating community at the schools, which is important.
So during our PTA meetings, we find out the needs of the school and what it needs to happen, and then we make our action plans, and we meet once a month to talk about where we are and what's coming up next. So we're always busy, and there's always things coming down the pipeline. And it's also that just open communication with a cohort of individuals that are all there to enhance those experiences and make that happen.
I feel like for parents who might not have a lot of time on their hands to get involved during the school day, there's still opportunities for them to.
There's a ton of opportunities for whatever walk of life you have. You can do stuff from home. Stuff remote is always very much needed, especially through social media. We were just discussing that, how a lot of the schools are needing social media aids for students. Parents can play a part of that. You could do a lot of things from your home. Canva.
I was going to say graphic design.
Yeah.
Canva is a big one, creating all the flyers and infographics and things that come with almost everything we do. We need several.
Volunteer coordinators, making sign-up geniuses, things like that you can do from home.
A lot of things are remote nowadays, and COVID helped us realize that we don't always need to necessarily be there. We can do a lot of things remote. So,
well, is there, final thoughts?
I would say, so my final thought would be to not let middle school intimidate you as a parent or your student. Just embrace the change. It will be different, but different's not always bad. And it is truly the best growing experience your child, can have. It's a big gap, but it's an exciting gap. And it will be fine.
I agree.
It's been a fun ride. I'm sad that ours is coming to an end temporarily until my son starts in a year. But yeah, 3 years goes by so fast. And like I said, the amount of growth and change and direction that she now has and possesses, and not to go off on a tangent, but the Avid, it really did provide this foundation for her that she recognizes what she wants to do for her career now, and she has set her sight on that, and is going to be an IB student at South Fork, and has taken her electives to coincide with her career choice, and the direction that Avid and that Murray has provided in general has just been beneficial and refreshing and just overall wonderful.
To piggyback off of that,
That we didn't have last thoughts.
CTE has brought in a lot of career options for these students, which are opening their eyes. We didn't have these options when we were kids. It's kind of like you got home ec, shop, and maybe photography, but CTE is allowing kids to explore different avenues and to see what their potentials are and their possibilities are. So I would say embrace it all, be a part of it all.
And also encourage your student to get involved within the school in middle school, because there are opportunities.
Clubs like crazy.
Your PTSA. There's leadership, student council.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
ways for them to advocate
for themselves.
So
And find their joy, find their people, that have similar interests.
Yeah.
And
now they get to be a part of the sports academics that are the
and go to
sports
games,
teams.
and it's an exciting time.
I agree.
And
Enjoy
the world opens up just a little bit more.
And you're, as a parent, you're walking alongside them as you're coaching them through the next steps on growing up.
And there's not a doubt in my mind now. People keep asking everywhere that, oh, are you so nervous? She's going to high school. In high school, are you freaking out? Are you crying? I'm like, I honestly, not at all. I feel like she is truly prepared and she's excited. She's sad to leave this experience, but she's taking her friends and her knowledge with her. And we're just so excited for this next journey because this previous one has been incredible.
And moments like that make you think the admin team. I think the district does a really good job at putting together the perfect admin teams to help guide your child. So that helps. Thank you.
Yes.
Love it. I love everything that all of you three have said. It's seriously, I think it's going to be very helpful, especially for those families that are transitioning from 5th to 6th grade and are a little hesitant about it. It is a big step, but as they said, it's something that you can get through. It's all going to be fine. And if anything, your child's going to be better for it because our schools are truly amazing and give them so much to grow from. So, well, thank you for being here today. And I do want to, I have to, of course, do little housekeeping notes, little housekeeping notes to finish this off. So as these ladies mentioned, so we had a few of our schools. I know Murray Middle School has already had their preview night. We still have a few schools left for preview nights. If you're not able to attend those, we do have an online version. It was a virtual one that was held recently, and the recording of that will be available, so you'll still be able to see what questions parents asked or what the administrators at those schools said and what programs are offered at each middle school. And then also we have our district satisfaction and engagement survey coming up. I know you all are going to fill it out. It's a very important survey that pretty much just helps the district find out where we need to improve, in turn to help our students improve. So we compare the results from last year and the year before that, and we really need everyone, as many parents as possible, to fill these surveys out for each child. So on that note, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us to talk about this.
I love having parents. This is the first time I've had parents talk about just school life in general, so I'm excited. I think,
Hopefully it's meaningful and
Yes.
impactful.
I think it means a lot more when it's coming directly from
The horse's
parents.
mouth.
Yeah. The horse's mouth. Exactly. You're going through it right now.
And then also parents can also reach out to their PTA presidents and ask questions. Like we know things and we're happy to help. So reach out to your PTA boards and,
And if you're not ready to let go per se, jump on the PTA. You can be a part of your child's experience throughout the year. So
Thank you for joining us on this episode of All in Martin. You can find us, as always, on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But in the meantime, you can find us wherever you scroll.